In this video, we're going to prune several different things here in the garden, maybe take care of a couple other little details as well. We were gone from the garden for 2 weeks without fertilizer, without inputs, without anything. It grew like crazy. Steph had actually opened up these the sidewalks, the front sidewalk and the side piece here before we left. We cut them back, and then literally 2.5 weeks pass, and it's basically closed back in at this point. We've got a lot of our conifers, leafy evergreen shrubs, that are here and there that have some annuals or perennials laying up against them that we need to get pruned around. And we have an event. We have some people coming here in a couple of weeks, and normally we wouldn't be in a rush to do anything out here this time of year because it's hot, and none of it matters outside of making sure that none of our leafy evergreen or any of our plants are being hurt by anything else. So it could just sit there like this. But again, we got people coming, and I got about 2 weeks where if I cut on something right now, it should flush back out a bit and look okay by then. So I'll stick around because we got, again, several different types of things that I'll be pruning in this video, and I'll show you what I would or wouldn't prune this time of year. But for this path, I'm just going to take and cut these annuals back. Actually, these salvia are perennial further south, and they come back from seed for us, but we treat them as annuals. Same thing with this vinca. This vinca, I think that's probably one that came back from seed there. I don't remember if we yeah, just one that came back from seed, and look how good it looks. So we decided to leave some of them that volunteer to come back from seed. But this minor amount of pruning, again, the main thing is here, I don't want anything hurt that is a more permanent part of this garden. There's a little bit of it done, just this path alone. It's a lot of material, and you can see how much material we now have for compost, which I am currently just piling up and doing a cold compost. It's a pile of stuff, and it does actually breaks down slower without having heat added to it. It needs to become a real compost area, and I've talked about it for a while. I haven't done it yet, but we do keep all this material here, and we actually have one area planted toward the back line back there that was in our cold compost pile, and those plants have gone because we planted directly into the material that had composted there over time. I hate to harp on this fertilizing thing, but I have, I know I've been bringing it up a lot recently, but the main thing here to notice is this was not fertilized. Steph cut this stuff hard. All of these annuals and perennials, she cut them really hard before we left, and in just 2.5 weeks, they came back out and were just eating everything again. And so if you were coming back to this and going, should I fertilize it? Well, everything's just growing like crazy. It just responds to anything, as long as it's got moisture, and it did. The first week we were gone, Raleigh had flooding, unfortunately, but coming back into town here, we still have a little bit of soil moisture. It hasn't rained now in a little while, but the moisture's still there, and so the plants seem to be responding to it. Don't seem to need any fertilizer. These will be back out full bloom. One thing to point out here is in the design, as we're looking at this is the third time having to cut this off this sidewalk. These blocks are eventually going to change into some sort of other sidewalk in the future, but this was overplanted, right? Or they were planted too close to this sidewalk. I don't want to be pruning on something 4 times a year, and I really want the pollinators to be able to enjoy these flowers without us cutting them off constantly. So I need to have, this was like 3 rows of these salvia. It needs to be 2 rows instead, or if it was 2 rows, it needs to be 1 row, whatever. We just need to get them back a little bit so that at least 1 or 2 less prunings during the season can occur, and lowers our maintenance, and lowers the amount of time that there are no flowers on these plants, for the pollinators here that we're trying to invite to the garden. But this garden is alive right now. We can walk out this front door middle day toward the street, and just stuff flies in every direction. So it's really alive right now. But let's move on, show you some other things I need to prune. Most of our annuals and perennials, I think you can see behind me how much color there is out here right now. Still look pretty good. They've held up pretty well, considering, the summer's been a bit of a roller coaster of either flooding, no rain, 100 degrees. You know, felt like there was always a new challenge as the summer went on, and you know, we came out of spring and the summer went on. But most things are holding up pretty well. I do have a couple of annuals out here that look pretty tough. I could cut, you know, I could try to cut them back and get them to flush out, but there's a few that I think I'm just going to remove entirely. And I just wanted to demonstrate with my pruning knife. If you've seen one of these pruning knives, they work extremely well to cut something off just down at the base. If you have a perennial that you want to cut back one stem down to the ground or whatever, this is a very effective tool for doing this. I'll just take this, this zinnia right here, and this knife does a pretty effective job of just slicing through that. There's one right here that was completely dead. But one of the main reasons I like the pruning knife is because ultimately I'm holding, you can wear a glove to do this, but I'm holding the material. Okay, if I cut it off with the shears like I showed you over there, then I've got to rake it out, I've got to clean it up, I've got to take, you know, but if I'm cutting something back to the ground, I like to use this thing. So then I can just dump it into a pot or a container, or for right this second while I'm running my mouth, I'll throw it right there on the side. But again, keeping one of these pruning knives sharp, boom, just like that, quick and easy. The reason I'm not pulling it is because I don't actually want to break this soil surface right this minute. If I pull things out of here right now, I'm going to throw soil all over the place, and I'm going to get a ton of weeds germinating out here. So that's one thing I don't want to be doing, is pulling things and creating weed problems for the fall out here. I don't think we're going to be, some years we'll plant pansies through here or Johnny jump ups or whatever. They're dianthus, all kinds of things. I don't think we will be this year, and so I don't want to break this surface. So as I cut these annuals back, as they fade the rest of the season, I'll probably just continue to cut them off right at the ground. Not break that soil surface, not bring up weed seeds, and have the weeds just absolutely take over out here through the winter. This is a pretty typical look of peonies here in the Raleigh area in August. They tend to hold up a little further into the fall in the north, where the foliage looks pretty good. Our native perennials like Rudbeckia, or, you know, black-eyed Susans, coneflowers, what else would we have out here that stands big and tall that's native? All the solidago, asters. Yeah, Steph's naming off quite a few. Any of our native perennials, we try to let them stand through the winter time. A lot of them have hollow stems. A lot of bees overwinter in those hollow stems. If you are cutting them down, try to leave at least a couple feet above the ground, you know, that you allow them to. The non-native perennials, will go ahead and cut them back to the ground. These peonies have solid stems anyway. If something is diseased as you're cutting it back, as you're making these decisions in August or September or October, if it was diseased during the season, you might not want to throw it onto your compost pile if it had a lot of leaf spot or whatever. Just make sure it seemed clean throughout the season, and then throw it onto the compost pile. This is, again, I can come down here to the base of these. They've pulled enough energy back down into the tuber now, where they're good to go. They're done basically for the season. I can use the pruning knife like this, and again, I'm holding it at that point. So if I had a wheelbarrow here beside me, you know, I would just right into the wheelbarrow, right, and they never hit the ground. I can also, you know, definitely, you know, come here and just cut them off like that at the base too. That's probably overall a little bit quicker, but for cleanup purposes, I do like to use the pruning knife, and I can get through this, you know, very, very quickly. Of course, you're going to find a weed, a tree, walnut, a pecan in that instance that a squirrel has done us the favor of planting, and a golden rain tree, which is invasive here. Let's see. think I got everything, huh, Steph? The palm went absolutely wild this season. It has probably gained, the palm itself is really just measured by not the fronds up here at the top, but basically the brown part that's up to this spot right here is how you measure a palm. So right now, it's reached about 7 feet. And I think it was probably no more than maybe 5 at the beginning of the season. And that stretched out the top of the palm another probably 3 feet this season. We've been limbing it up over time, but now we've got some directly in our face. So as you're walking around, these little pointy ends are not fun to be avoiding every time you walk around. Takes a little bit of effort to cut these off. They're not thin. There's one, and if you look here along the stem, they're also spiny. Can they see that, you think, Steph?
Yeah.
You see how spiny that is? So it's probably something to wear gloves if you're going to handle them. I'm cut enough of these that I'm not that worried about it. There are 2 smooth sides to it that I can hold. But I just want to get these raised up. I think this one right here for sure. And,
do you think they would break down in your compost?
Maybe they would take a while. If you're going to compost these are so thick, you probably want to break them up into smaller chunks. Okay, I would cut these stems several times if you're going to throw them on your compost pile. We are going to throw them on ours. Nothing wrong with them. It's good material. A lot of carbon in there. So I definitely want to reuse them here in the garden. That probably. What do you think, Steph? Is there maybe this one right here that's preventing us from getting to the water?
This one is right in our face.
Do we want to go that high?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. We do have visitors coming. So I'm just going to leave the rest for now. Okay. I know I'll be taking a couple more off in the spring probably, but I don't want to cut all its ability to produce energy off of it. So camellia back here, this October Magic orchid is about to flower. It's loaded up with buds, but the buds are on growth that happened a little earlier in the season, not the growth that's happened toward the end of the season. So a lot of this growth, this kind of spiky growth like this, I'm going to take off, because when this thing comes into flower, I actually want to be able to see the flower. So any of this late season growth to me is of no value to this plant. And I'm trying to keep this thing kind of small underneath this palm. It can come up as the palm comes up in the future, it can come up as well. But for now, I have no intention of letting it be 7 feet tall right up in the palm right now. But all I'm doing is staying above where flower buds got set, cleaning them off, and then when it starts to flower, we'll see them flowering. If something is running into something else, let's see, put this over here without throwing it at you. If there's a branch that's going into another shrub or something like that, I might do a little bit of control of that. But other than that, I think that's about it, huh? How's that look? Now I'm down to the layer where the flower buds are. And flowers will now be showy. They'll look like they're on the outside of the plant instead of the inside of the plant. My goal has been to get this fatshedera further and further up the side of the screen porch. Over time, it doesn't latch on its own, so it's got to be supported in some way. I've had a nail here for a long time and had it stake to that, and then I just haven't followed through. I finally have enough growth to start to do this. Some of this extra material here, I'll at some point probably take off some of the extra, but I'm trying to really just get it to vine up the side here, but it doesn't vine voluntarily. You have to support it. It also works as a ground cover a bit. There are flowers coming on it, which I think are always interesting to show off, right? They're like little alien flowers, very fatsia-like. This plant is half fatsia. You see how the flowers form in those umbels in kind of a circle like that. Pollinators go crazy for this plant, non-native, but the pollinators absolutely love it. When these things are in flower, they're just completely covered in flies, honeybees, native bees, everything coming to these flowers. So looks like, is that maybe the only one we got this year? Oh, no, there's more coming. There's more coming. I'm seeing that I'm predicting too early here how many are going to be here, because there's some that are very small. Oh, right there. So they're forming all over it. So it looks like we're gonna get a lot of flowers this year. A couple things real quick. Typically we don't do a whole lot of just general pruning this time of year, but on annuals, like we're cutting back in the front garden, they're not gonna have any problem with that at all. They're just gonna spring right back from it. They're full sun annuals, and they will have no problem. They'll be blooming for us until possibly November out there in the front garden, except for a few will decline one after another, like that zinnia that you saw me cut back to the ground. It may actually come back from the ground actually. But the 1-2 branches here and there kind of thing, like I did on the camellia or the palm here, are not that big of a deal. When you're in the beds too, it does give you an opportunity on one of these days to see, you know, what you've been maybe missing. Again, when I cut back the peony over there, I found some stuff, and now I'm sitting here. This is that Virginia copperleaf weed. I imagine everybody has this weed in their garden. It's pretty common one, blooms along the stem as it comes up. It's not an unattractive plant, but boy, is it good at masking itself in the garden and then creating just an absolute ton of seed. It is a native native weed to the garden. And so somebody may choose to keep it, but if you're trying to garden with anything else around it, it will seed itself in really, really quickly. So as you're out here, you know, and you're looking through the garden, you may get a cool morning some point during August, and you're just kind of evaluating things. It's a good time to take stock of. When we first started this project, I had somebody go up here in this giant oak in the back. Can you get up there, you think, Steph? So that giant white oak that's in the back, if you come to the open garden, you know how much this oak actually dominates this space. We get good. When we first started this project, I had somebody go up there and take off a couple limbs on this side of the tree. And that gave us a lot more sun here in the back garden for a while, but that tree has now, the limbs up above the ones that were cut have grown out quite a bit, and the shade line is moving up off the back earlier in the day than it was. And so we've had full sun perennials here around the patio, bee balm and veronica and gara and salvia, and what else am I missing here? Agapanthus, agastache, just on and on. Full sun perennials we've had around this patio. They did great for 4 or 5 years. This year they've stretched a bit. Our bee balm had a little more powdery mildew than it's had in the past, our scarlet bee balm. So I'm looking at this. We had eggplants growing right here, and the eggplants have stretched like crazy. We've used eggplants in our borders a lot of times, and we've got great eggplants out of it, but they're definitely, the leaves are bigger. You know, you can kind of tell that when something gets larger leaves than it would typically have, it's struggling a bit with low light. So just looking at this, thinking, hey, next year we're probably going to convert this to, you know, looking at either perennials that'll take part shade, or if we come in here with annuals, it might be impatiens or begonias or something that's a little more tolerant of half day sun, half day shade. So just evaluating, you know, where is it? If it's something that really declined through this summer, sometimes it's just you had a tough summer. You know, you were drier than normal, you were hotter than normal, and it's hard to judge something on. But I feel like we've gotten the last 2 years, we can see a decline here in this front border, which is highly amended. You know, it's highly amended space, just like the front garden is, where everything went whoo and grew like crazy. Here it grew and flopped, which is telling me that it's a sun-related issue. So we'll convert this over. We'll yield to the tree. That's a very important native species. It's host to 500 different other species or something crazy like that. So when you're, you know, evaluating an oak like that, and unfortunately they're just coming down everywhere in the neighborhood. I mean, people are taking them down like crazy, and it was diseased. It was diseased. Some of them you can see in the middle where they were hollow, but a lot of them are just solid, you know, right down to the ground. So I hate to see them go. I also understand there's a bit of scariness, you know, to a tree like that near your house. So I know there's that. It's tough to garden. If that thing was just centered here in the front garden, like it is for a lot of people, it would be very difficult to garden this space. So, you know, part of me understands it, but then I'm sad about it at the same time as I walk around the neighborhood and we turn a corner and you can see this big giant open space, and you realize how much just one of these 90-year-old oaks, you know, how much space and how much they just dominate a space that they take, and, you know, how important they are to, you know, to keeping the neighborhood cool and all the species that live in them. Here's an acanthus that is interesting. The old foliage from earlier in the season has really declined on it. And, you know, it looks a little bit rough, but you see all the new foliage coming in the middle. Eventually that'll get killed back from, you know, cold. But it has until November to grow. I don't think these old leaves are now producing any food for the roots on this plant, really. At this point, they are very tired and eaten and off-colored and struggling. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clean these up to the ground and leave that dark green foliage that you see there in the middle. That'll continue to feed the roots on the plant the rest of the season. I probably would leave this. I probably wouldn't even think about it, but people are again coming on September 6th, and you know, I'm not trying to show them half dead, you know, not dead, you know, really old, tired things. If I can, you know, eliminate a few leaves here and there that look bad without hurting the plants, that's what I'm doing. This autumn minaret daylily has just been unbelievable all season. We've gotten more and more scapes as the years have gone on. This year we have 7. Last year I think we may have had 3 or 4. But look, it still has flowers, open flowers on it all the way toward the end of August. Virtually every other daylily except for a few repeat flowering daylilies were done 2 months ago. I mean, you know, it's kind of unbelievable how long it starts after all the other daylilies and then finishes way after all the other daylilies. But it's 7 feet tall or so. I've got a few flowers left on it. You know, I don't think we're more than about 2 or 3 days from having them all gone. These, just like any other daylily, will do this. You'll get, you know, the stem will basically, you know, die completely back like that. And you can choose to leave them up, or you can choose to clean them up if you want to. So I can, you know, this one that's completely spent here, you know, I just cut it down, you know, into the actual plant down there like that. Or I can leave them in place. They do have hollow stems, just like some of the other things in here. Something may take advantage of it. But just showing you, I can come in here and clean this up, or choose not to. You know, if you find it interesting, it is an opportunity sometimes for something like a goldfinch to sit on top of this. These are a little wispy, probably not the best, but some of these taller things like this are opportunities for some of the birds to, you know, have a high space where they feel comfortable sitting up above everything else. So there you go. We're just in here looking for things that are hurting other things potentially, getting those things pruned off. Resetting some of the, despite cutting back those salvia, I'm looking over there right now, there's bees all over that. To find that even the few flowers that are left, I see bees are coming to them. But just, you know, looking here and there, if you have a crazy limb on something, if you have suckers down at the bottom of a plant, if you have something that's just really tired looking, you know, if it's a leaf that's basically finished, you know, you can go ahead and cut those things back to the ground without any hurting them. I'm not going to do any general pruning. I'm not going to come to this cryptomeria right here and take 1/3 of it back all the way around. That's just not a good time to be doing that kind of thing. But if I had a limb on this cryptomeria that was sticking way over here, boom, 1 limb, you know, 2 limbs, no big deal. But we're back in the garden here, just trying to get it refreshed. And again, have a group of people coming, so we'd like to have it look, you know, pretty presentable after what has been a little bit of a tough summer out here in the garden. Let us know down below if there's anything that's like really pushed through the summer and it's just kind of peak right now, because we do have some of those things as well. I should probably make that video as well. There's some things out here that really, and that may be one of the videos we shoot in the next week or so, you know, some of the things that have really just held up despite us being gone several times, despite temperature, rain, all those kinds of things. Thanks for watching.